Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Home Staging Talk Show Live, brought to you by the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. I am Jenny Norris, your host, and excited to be with you again this week. We are going to be talking with people from hopefully around the country, and have a couple of people scheduled to be on to talk about trends. So just wanted to have some fun talking about what's in and what's out in your market, and what you see is coming down the pipe. And so, it's important to note, depending on where you live around the country, material trends, staging furniture trends, what we do for staging, what we recommend for staging, what we see in our clients' properties, it's going to vary a lot, right? So what's right for one part of the country may not be appropriate for another part of the country, and things that are trending in one area maybe haven't reached another area yet. So it's kind of nice to be able to talk about what what is coming and what you see in your market compared to other areas, knowing that there's no right or wrong. My gauge is, does what you do help sell the property? And when that works and that's staging, then you've done your job and it's appropriate. So before we get started, just a couple of announcements. Best of Home Staging Awards. You have until end of June to submit your submittals. So you can go to bestofhomestaging.com or bestofihosp.com. Now make a note, this works with Chrome browser, so if you're trying to access that with Mozilla, it doesn't work, because I tried it. So it just gives you like a blank white page. So make sure that you're using Chrome as your browser, and that'll take you right to the page. You can populate your information and submit your info under the 3 categories, which is staging excellence, customer service, and industry leadership. So make sure that you do that. And then, of course, our IHOSP Staging Awards for our conference will be announced in October. There's a limited number of winners for that award set. So whether it's Rising Star, Best Vacant, Best Occupied, Top Team, Top Individual, Best Chapter, etc. So we recognize people in different categories, but there will be a limited number of winners in that awards area. And so the Best of Awards, unlimited number of people can be recognized. So you're being recognized as a top person in the staging industry versus getting an award necessarily at a conference. So make sure to please submit your information. Again, go through using Chrome as your browser, because Mozilla doesn't work. And then Explorer, it gets kind of glitchy. It's kind of catch as catch can. So if you haven't downloaded Chrome, make sure to do that. All of you guys watching, thank you so much for joining. If you would do me a favor, at the bottom of either your computer screen or your phone, there should be a way for you to share this broadcast. I would love you to share it with all your people that you know, because our goal is to reach as many people as we can with home staging information, and just talk about the industry and what's working, talk about challenges we might be having, and just reach people that otherwise may not be aware of what we do and how we do it and how we can help them. Or maybe you're running a business and you're struggling, or you want to know, gosh, does other people have the same challenges I have? Or maybe you're having great success and you want to talk to somebody about getting even further. So being part of a conversation and within the industry is also really helpful. So make sure that you share this, share. As Joseph Hecker always says, sharing is caring. Our conference, of course, our Tier 1 pricing ends June 15th at midnight. So don't be like Cinderella and leave your shoe on the stairs and miss out on the pricing. So the pricing will go up starting June 16th at 12:01 a.m. Our conference is October 18th, 19th, and 20th in Charlotte. You will earn your your IHOSP Luxury Home Staging designation, which is the IHOSP LHS. You'll meet all colleagues from all over the world, and of course, drum roll, the Scott brothers. So they'll be there as our keynote speakers, and we'll have a meet and greet book signing. Every person coming to the conference will have the opportunity to shake their hand, take a picture, share some words with them, and then also be able to hear from them as they share during our keynote session. So we also have 17 other amazing speakers eager to share their wisdom with you. And it's not just 100% related around staging and process. We have outside people coming and sharing about just business growth and your mindset strategies for success. So no matter what business you're in, it'll make an impact. You also have the ability to bring a spouse or significant other with you. They would be able to attend the Thursday expo, the Friday night awards dinner, and then also have the option of adding in the Scott Brothers meet and greet. So that's a separate ticket. If you'd like to be able to have a significant other come with you to the conference, you can. And the hotel, the Westin, is not sold out. So I know people keep getting that information from the hotel. We are talking with them about why that happens, and people are booking on either end of the event, and it's throwing them off. So now there's actually an image on our site with the person you can email, Danae, and at the Westin. So if you need help with your reservations, she can help you if you're getting misinformation from the registration center. So please make sure that you get your hotel booked. We, again, negotiated a great rate for everybody, and you can room share. There are people looking to room share right now. We have a Facebook page for the conference, so we can put that information on the site. If you would like to put that out there that you're looking for a roommate for the conference, we can help you with that. So, all right, that is it for all the announcements. So good morning again, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Again, please share this with your people on your Facebook page, either from your phone or your computer. And we're talking trends. So I had asked Edi Keech to come on this morning, and then also Teresa. So Edi, come back on. Request to join. So you disappeared on me. And Teresa, I know you're there, but I think Edi, you had an appointment or something you were trying to get to quickly. So what is trending in your area? So I had a little bit of fun. I printed off an article. This is, of course, by the way, when you print off things about trends, it's one person's opinion, right? It's not like they surveyed the entire country and then came up with these list of trends. So I'm sure that they study what's happening in the market, real estate related or design, and then they come up with their thoughts and ideas. And so some of them I agree with for sure, and others I'm like, well, that's okay in my area. So take it what we share with you today with see if it applies to your market. Okay, Edi, here we go. All right, Edi is trying to add you. We didn't do our normal tech check as you were on before, so hopefully it's connecting. Yay! Good morning.
Hi, Jenny.
How are you?
I'm great. A little moist. It's the Pacific Northwest. What can I say?
Man, it's hot here. We have fire danger. It's been like in the 90s. It's really unusual. So I'd rather have a cooler. All right, so tell everybody who you are and where you live.
Okay, I'm Edi Keech. My company is Staging Puget Sound, and I am located just outside of Seattle, Washington, in Washington State. So for me, I think a lot of the influences come from two factors, and that is the economics of our region, because we have a very strong tech industry and we're very close to Canada. So there's a lot of influence in those two areas. And just the environment, the weather itself, and how that interacts with properties, how they build the houses. So those are two of the background factors that influence my area the most.
So when you think about trends so we're kind of like the Pacific Northwest region is who she's representing. So what are some trends you see that are definitely out? Like you go to a client's house, you see things, you're like, oh my gosh, if I see one more of those, I'm going to run out screaming.
There's no more country, no more of the cutesy, frilly stuff. Everything is very understated, contemporary, modern. A lot of the homes are either very small bungalows or ramblers. The predominant style here, most of them are either mid-century modern, ramblers or ranchers, or what's called Northwest contemporary. So those are the three basic home styles. I looked at a house yesterday that had more kitsch and little lacy curtains and doilies on the table, and actually convinced the homeowner that it was better for her to move into her condo and eliminate everything and let us bring it in. Because otherwise, her house looking dated is just going to sit for a long time.
Right. So I think the expectations sometimes, because I was dealing with a couple of clients that they have a beautiful home, it's up in the hills, and so it's going to be a higher price point, et cetera. But their furniture was like something I would have had in my apartment when I was in college. It's just kind of that couch, really kind of gross. And then they had a sectional that had done its time, and then really heavy oak furniture in their master. And so it doesn't jive with the price point. But then the disconnect is them thinking, well, if you just bring in some artwork and some decor, it's going to magically transform the fact that we have all this dated furniture. And they were willing to replace one room, but not the rest of it. And
Yeah.
so that's just not going to do the trick. So staging, sometimes it is, you have to remove things out. Sellers have to be willing to make an adjustment. Otherwise, their things, if they're dated, the house then looks dated.
Yeah, the price point is really important. I just saw an article yesterday. Bellevue is right across from Seattle. The median home price, not average, but median home price in Bellevue is about $1 million. That's
So
just for, that's just for your basic 3 bedroom, 2 bath suburban home. But when you have,
median means so half of the houses are above that, half of the houses are below that.
right.
That's what median means. That's crazy.
So when you're asking that price, there's an expectation of a certain quality and a certain look that
Right.
unless you bring that in, it just sits there because a lot of the buyers now are all cash in my market. They want a 17-day close or a 7-day close. Frequently,
Wow.
they're foreign investors that are trying to move money from Asia. They're looking for new, so they want to see black stainless appliances, quartz countertops, shaker cabinets, or the glossy flat panel that you can get through places like IKEA. No more carpet, wood floors, or either in medium tones, not dark, or exotic woods. Or they want the wood look porcelain tile. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for furniture, neutral, just neutral so that all the windows show the environment, and then accent pieces would be in the blues and greens and teals, things that are soft, that are kind of natural to the environment. So those are really popular. Mid-century modern, people go crazy for. I can't, I can't stop buying because my old stuff I finally gotten rid of, and everybody is looking for mid-century. And if you throw in a couple of pieces that are a little more rustic, that kind of blend, it just makes such a big difference.
So what are you seeing like artwork wise? What do you like using?
Well, I'm really, I like artwork that is photographs. So almost all of the artwork that I put on walls are photographs. I have started using an artist who just does canvases and blends colors when I can't find the right piece that's a photograph. But I like really big framed art, especially for the more high-end properties.
So do you source those locally or do you buy them online? Where's your
Both.
favorite place?
Both.
What's your favorite
Actually,
online?
I like to order them from art.com because then you can pick the size, you can pick the frame, you can get the um, non-reflective glass in it or plastic, which makes it easier to transport. So I use
Right.
them a lot.
Art.com. That's a great resource. So, so the things that are out, like in my market, we see a lot of Southwest influence, and Denver's not really. I mean, it is. It's not really Southwest. I mean, it kind of borders Arizona, Utah, New Mexico. So I can see how that infiltrates in. But I'm telling you guys, I walk into houses. Okay, I'm okay with like one like Kachina doll or like a one like little Southwest motif, but there's every room is decked out in this motif where they have like Indians and horses and Kachina dolls and these different things. And that seems to me a lot of the older generation. I don't know if the Southwest decor people came sailing through town here in Denver and had a really good deal for people, but that kind of stuff is just I tell people if you have more than three things, it starts to become like a collection, and you're dictating the style of the house or the decor. So I'm usually telling people pull all that stuff away because it's. But I'm so surprised at how much I see of that here.
Yeah, the other thing that I've noticed is when I first started staging, matching sets was big. So you got a sofa, a love seat, a side chair, and then you got a three-piece occasional table set and two lamps to go with it. And now everything is eclectic. They would prefer if you have two chairs that they not match, that they each have their own personality. And that really extends into the feeling in the whole home that it's a livable space and not a furniture showroom. So I think that's really important no matter where um, you are staging, that you evolve beyond going to the rental place and just getting their whole package.
What do you think about beds? So there's a kind of two schools of thought. I see the messy bed, then I see the fitted, dress bed like it's at a hotel. So what do you like? What do you do?
I try to do the messy bed, but somehow the realtors always straighten it out. So I've kind of gone to the tucked in effect, folded back but tucked in so that it looks inviting, but they just can't stand the messy bed.
It almost looks like they feel like we forgot to finish,
Or
right?
somebody's kid came in and messed it up. So
Right.
they're trying to make it look better. Unless I'm there when they're taking the photographs, I've mostly just given a sigh and moved to the more normal, I just made my bed look.
Yeah, and seeing that trend that has not hit here at all. I mean, I see it online, so I know some markets I've seen it, like Southern Cal and so forth, and it's just something that hasn't gotten here. And I don't know that I would actually do that because I'm thinking like my bed is messy. Like I can look at my room right now. I didn't make my bed totally this morning, so for me, if let's say I'm a buyer, why would I want to buy something I already have in my house? I want the illusion of something that I'm going to be like, oh, this is so pulled together. I'm going to love living here. Like when you walk into the hotel room, a nice hotel room for the first time, and you see the bed and it's just, really beautiful. And that's kind of the image I want to portray. So it's just interesting. Different markets have, and even like the throw, the art of throwing the throw. All along I've said it's not as easy as it looks. Like you toss it and you toss it again, and some people are just kind of rumpling it on the bed too, or they're using, what kind of bedding do you use? Are you using the coverlets, or are you using comforter sets?
I use both. I use ones that are of a texture that you don't have to iron or steam them because it just saves time. Things that are more quilted, that have a texture to them. And then I used to steam them to try to make them look really good. I found a spray that you spray on it and smooth it, and it looks just as good as if you ironed it. It
What's
takes,
that? What is that spray called? Wrinkle
I think
release
it's called I
something?
Hate to Iron.
Really?
Yeah,
I hate to iron
it's
the
called
product. There's
I
also
Hate
one
to
called like
Iron or I Hate Ironing or something like that. And I found it on Amazon. So for the messy bed, I think it also depends on the type of property. They're really popular in the downtown condos and townhouses, more in the tech sector where folks never make their bed and they just hop up or they're in bed with their laptop working. Um, in the suburban properties and the luxury properties, everyone wants to see the bed made.
Yeah, so Tracy was saying she hasn't heard of a messy bed. So the idea is that, you just climbed out of bed and went to the door to greet your guests or something like that. So the bed it has, sheets and comforter or whatever on it, but it's not fully
It's all
tucked
rumpled
together.
up and just helter skelter.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. All right. What about silk plants?
Um, I go, actually, one of my biggest sources is Home Goods. They frequently have large plants they want to get rid of, and so they're reasonably priced. For focus plants, things that you would put on a coffee table or on in a bathroom, believe it or not, I go to Lamps Plus and buy their plants. They are fantastic. They look so real. You don't have to. They're not really silk. They're a rubber composite, and they're beautiful and very reasonably priced. So there's a store locally that I can go to, or you can order them online.
I remember Lamps Plus, I was in there and they have a lot of decor stuff. I got these really cool like deco
Do.
balls there. So you have to kind of, I sort of forget about them as a resource, but that's a great tip.
Yeah,
So,
you just have to
hey, Long
wander
Beach.
around and you'll start to see. I mean, they have pillows, which is my
Hmm.
weakness, and just a lot of decor that you think of it as a lamp store, but and bulbs. You can get bulbs for all of your lamps, and if you sign up with them, they give you a special discount, and so it can be very helpful.
That's great. So, we talked about what colors, sourcing your furniture or artwork. So, what about the colors of the year? So I just wanted to briefly touch on that, and I know you have to get going shortly. The
The
colors of the
colors
year when they come out, what do you think about that when
depends
you
on
see?
whether it depends on whether I like the color or
Yeah,
not.
that's true.
I'm not a big fan of yellow. I hardly own anything yellow. So I know my friend Kevin uses yellow a lot. Perhaps it works better in the Southern California sunlight. Um, this year, I was thrilled when the color of the year was purple because
Yeah.
that's my favorite color. So I use purples with the dark blues a lot, and it's a very rich look. So it really depends on what they've selected as the color of the year, whether I use that as an emphasis or just totally ignore it.
Yeah, like I know when that Dusty Rose, I've said this before, when it came out, I didn't buy, I think I have a couple pillows in it, but I didn't invest a lot. So for those of you watching, when they do put the, color trends, these different things out there, it's important not to run out and buy everything in that color because the next year they're going to have some other color they're
Going to
going to
be
predict.
outdated, yeah.
And there's like 7 or 8 different, color of the year. Each paint company has one. And then, the, or not RGB, who is it? The color people. Who is it, Edie? The CMYK, RGB, who is it? The Pantone. Pantone will come out with a color of the year, and some different design people will. So I remember when the turquoise and brown was really popular, that combination, the blue and brown. We did a model of an apartment, and we bought a bunch of stuff, and all those colors, everything was in that tone. I never used all that stuff together ever again. And
Yeah.
it's not that I couldn't use the turquoise and stuff, but it was just it really wasn't wise to get that specific of a color combo and niche specific because it didn't last. So
Kevin says CMG and Pantone.
thank you. Yeah. Hi, Long Beach. Hope you guys are learning lots from Kevin. He's teaching in Long Beach today. So okay. Anything else you want to share?
No, I think that there are some uniform standards throughout the country. They may not all hit at the same time. Frequently, I think they come from the West Coast because I don't know, maybe the shipping containers hit here first, and so it spreads across the country. But I think everyone should take a minute, look at what's popular in the other areas, but remember you have to suit your own area first. Even though I love a lot of the really, really modern stuff, I have some Jetsons chairs and egg chairs and stuff. A lot of people here aren't into the super modern. It would go beautifully in Florida, but it's not quite the right type for here, although I do have a little bit. So I think my final words would be to look at everything and then select from within that what's best in the market that you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's great advice, and thank you for being on. Always good to see you.
Great. Have a
All
great
right.
day.
We're going to say goodbye to Edie, and we're going to bring Teresa on. Thank you, Edie.
Bye bye.
All right. Awesome. Okay, Teresa, let's get you in here. Add. That's great info. So what Edie said last is really true that, take a look what's happening around other parts of the country. And it's not that you can't incorporate some of it, but things that would be suitable for a coastal market are going to work for, Midwest or like where I am in the mountains. Hey, girl.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Good to see
Good to see
you.
you too. Oh, I always see you. You just don't always see me.
You stalking me.
Well, it's a little Facebook Live staging talk thing. See you every week.
So tell everybody who you are,
Hi,
where you live.
Thomas. My company is Stage Right Home Staging. We are headquartered in Wilmington, Delaware, but we serve the tri-state area, which is Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland. So tri-state but we have borders with all of those states, and I will travel within a 2-hour distance from our headquarters, which 2 hours
Awesome.
encumbers the entire state of Delaware.
Kind of, it's so funny how little, the states are back east, some of them.
Little but mighty.
Little bit mighty, strong but mighty. Okay, so so we're talking about trends. So I printed off an article called Hot Home Design Trends for 2018. So I'm going to read off the things that they say are in and then things that they say are out and get your feedback.
Okay.
Okay. First one is mixed metallics, mixed metals in homes. Like
Okay.
fixtures.
Metals in homes, I think, depends on the metals we're mixing. I have seen that happen a lot, and I know last year at conference Kevin had mentioned that. I think if we're talking about mixed metals as far as your kitchen appliances go, I would go no. So we don't want like a stainless stove with a white dishwasher. We still want to keep that good. As far as mixed metals goes in fixtures, you're talking about light fixtures versus door knobs and hinges and kind of thing. I think that's okay. I think having I'm still seeing a whole lot of brass here, and I'm doing my very, very best to end that trend in this area, even though it's kind of starting to circle back in. But having, say, like a wrought iron black light fixture with brushed nickel doorknobs and cabinet pulls is fine. I guess it just depends. As long as we don't do too many in the same room, I would go no more than 2 as far as from staging perspective. That's what I would say.
Yeah, so we've been taking the last 10 years to tell people to debrass their houses, right? Get rid of the shiny gold. And we were winning. Yes, and now they're bringing the matte gold in. So in Denver, I've seen one gold faucet so far. So and it looked great in the house. It was kind of they remodeled their kitchen. It was a cute little bungalow style. However, you watch some of the shows like Flipping Out with Jeff Lewis or these things. There's he's putting the knobs are gold and he's using that metal everywhere. So this is what we kind of talk about with the trends. That's popular in that market, but it hasn't started to gravitate. And I don't know if the jury's still watching to see just how popular it's going to be before they start moving it east. It'll be interesting.
Well, I actually did preview one property in Ocean City, Maryland, where the investor did use gold, the skinny modern gold pulls on the doors of the cabinets in the kitchen, and it was on a white cabinet with the stainless steel, all stainless steel appliances. Glass backsplash. It was a very coastal looking house with these gold door pulls, and I mean, it still sold before we even got in to stage it. We went into the previews, got the contract signed and everything, and it got a contract prior to us even getting our foot in the door. So as far as the staging perspective goes. So that's my only experience with the gold cabinet pulls in the kitchen thus far.
And then, of course, with staging inventory, we can bring different metals in. So you could have silver, you can have black, you can have bronze, you can have gold. You can mix those together. So it doesn't all have to be only silver accessories or whatever. So artwork, I'm seeing they're incorporating silver with gold in some of these canvas prints that, they aren't really a picture of anything, but it just kind of adds some pizzazz. So that always looks really pretty.
I think that the mixed metal trend, especially when they're pulling the silvers and golds together into artwork, is helping us to kind of cure the brassy doorknob epidemic, shall we?
Yeah. All right. So appliances, you mentioned that. So they're coming out with colorful appliances. So we're not just seeing, black matte, stainless, white, black, etc. We're seeing like royal blue and red and some of these really colorful appliances. So from a trending standpoint, if we were recommending somebody's remodeling their house, they're going to sell it, are we going to be telling them to put colored appliances in?
Well, staging is different than decorating. So I think we all know that we always, at least my staging philosophy is that you want to go with the law of averages and what will most people like, because that way you're going to hit your larger market. So I would not recommend that. If they were in a house already that I was staging, would I recommend that they change them? I would probably make that recommendation, fully expecting that they wouldn't do it, but you still, we sit in the hot seat and we have to make the tough recommendations. If people are taking those kind of taste specific items with them, then by all means replace it now. There's no sense in, you've got your Wolf oven or stove that you had bought for your house and you want one in your new house. If you're going to take it with you, take it now and replace it now. When people see those things in a house, they expect them to stay.
Right. So, okay, so colorful appliances, then seeing patterned flooring. It says, goodbye, simple, grainy hardwood. Patterned flooring adds interest to a room and can pull it all together. Expect to see geometric shapes as well as exotic Moroccan-inspired design that will make guests stop in their tracks and take notice. So they're showing this like in a bathroom. So have you seen, I've seen some of this with the smaller, so what do you think about that?
Okay, well, I haven't seen that out here yet. However, we want guests to stop in their tracks for the right reasons. If you know what I mean. And I think I always err on the side of caution, and I think it's beautiful for a house that you're moving in and decorating. I think we have to remember as stagers, we have to keep on our hat of logic here and remember that trends are trends that are going to trend out within the next 5 to 7 years. So, if it's something that is just coming in as a new trend and you want to put it in, I say, hey, go for it. Because from a staging perspective, it's going to be something that'll be an upgrade from other houses on the market. From a design perspective, if you're putting in your house to live, go for it. Do whatever you want. Sky's the limit, but expect to have to change it if you're getting ready to sell. Those are one of those things that are very taste specific.
And I would recommend I've seen some of the pattern tiles, and they might be blacks and whites or different colors. I think those in a smaller space, like a bathroom, it's not a giant big room because it would be, too much of a good thing. I actually have a builder. We just staged 2 of his properties. They were side by side, and he used the gray hardwoods planks, and they were 3 different tones of gray. So it almost appeared, it was very stripy. So in a house that's empty, it just was like, we're, really kind of busy. My eye just was looking at the floor, and the rest of the house was really beautifully done. So by staging it, being able to kind of break up some of that vision, the line of sight, it really helped. But be careful about using too small of tiles in a big space, unless the
important thing to kind of go back and look at is, there was a day where rooster tiles and grape leaf tiles and big giant features over the stove when the big Tuscan era had come in to haunt us, which is coming back from the grave now, and for stagers like me, and we have to address those things when we're getting ready to stage. So I would say, if you're getting this urge to tell your staging clients that they should be making these kind of trendy changes to their houses to sell it now, I pray that the gods of staging come back and make you have to stage it in 7 years.
Yeah. Remember when I was here 7 years ago and I told you that was a great thing to have?
Trend is no longer a trend.
Right. You'll be there going, yeah, me 7 years ago told you this was great. Now rip it out. Get rid of it. Okay. We're talking.
I wasn't going to go there, but since you did.
All right. Patterned fabrics and velvet furnishings. Are you using any of this with staging? Do you have a lot of geometrics and florals alongside neutrals for it kind of shows off your personality? Do you have patterns?
Well, okay. So I know that is a trend, and I know that there are people doing it, and I like it. I try to step back and take a look at the room from the perspective of the camera lens and how busy is it going to look. So it really is going to depend on the size of the room and how many furnishings we're putting together with the different designs. I would limit myself to probably 2 patterns side by side. I wouldn't go and put a whole lot of different patterns in. That my mind for some reason just went to window treatments. I always use a solid window treatment. Always. I mean, I might have one different patterns in a room, but I think that, again, we have to walk that line of remembering that we're selling the house and not the stuff. And sometimes, even I have to get out of my own way and remember this isn't about my design. It's about the design of the house and making it as attractive to a buyer as possible. So you can walk that line of design, but don't step too far over it, because then you're drawing attention to the stuff and not the house.
So you mentioned window treatment. So our trend here is to defuss the windows, take the layers off. So if somebody has curtains, balloon shades, valances, shears, all that kind of thing, it's usually removed. So I always look what's behind the window. So if it's nicely trimmed out, I'm like, we don't need to fuss up the frame and the window with fabric, because usually that's is very seller specific. It matches what they have in their house. It could be dirty, dated, whatever. So I'm like, just take it down. And if they have, window blinds, those of course stay, because you want some privacy. So we staged a property owner occupied, and they had mauve, drapey curtains and the thing down, the panels down.
Ooh, that's nice.
Living room and the dining room and the family room. So they were horrified. I told them they had to take it down. And they were just like, "What? We have to take these down?" I'm like, "Yeah, take them down." I said, because they had the biggest lot in their cul-de-sac. They had a pool, beautiful backyard. And I said, "Why would you want to hide this with curtains?" And what I wanted to say was, nobody wants your mauve curtains. The buyer doesn't want these. You're just going to toss them. So I said to her, if you like them so much, you should take them with you. She goes, "I don't want those old things."
Well, there you go.
So the buyer doesn't want them either. So and they were concerned about the holes being left. You know what? I'm okay if there's little holes that can be patched. That's not a big deal. But get rid of the fabric, especially if it's old.
Exactly. But and then the pushback you also get when it comes to, depending on the price point of the house as well. Those were custom, and I had them made when I moved in here. They were very expensive. And then my next question to them is, well, when did you move in? Well, it was 16 years ago. I said, so let's do the math on that. You paid $700 per window 16 years ago. Divide that by, they've seen their life. You've got mileage out of them. And again, I've used the whole, if you like them, well, then you're probably going to want to take them to your new house. We should just pack them up.
Exactly. Okay, velvet furnishings, I think it's very luxurious. I think in the right property, it would be good, but you got to make sure you don't go to the bordello side of things, where it becomes too like Elvis, like hubba 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 with the velvet,
I can't imagine why. Jenny. No, I agree with you, Jenny. I don't have any velvet pieces yet. I have not seen a whole lot of velvet. I know that last year, when I say last year, I mean like in the fall, when I was looking to add to the inventory, I saw a lot of it in the manufacturer's catalog. And since then, the 2018 catalog has come out, and I haven't seen them carrying it into 2018. So if that's a regional thing, I'm not sure, but I have not seen a whole lot of velvet. I've got a lot of leather, white leather, but not with white leather with kind of like the metallic painted trim, so silver trim, but not any like of the velvet upholstery.
I would be concerned about how it would hold up. So I have a couple of pillows on my bed that are like that deep marine blue, and they are velvet. I think I got them at TJ Maxx or one of those stores, and I love them. I would be concerned about transport. Depending on how crushed velvet, how is it going to hold up? Sometimes it can it can lose a spot. I don't know, the longevity of it would be a question mark for me, and how it would clean. But I think Keely's writing like rich velvet pillows, something on a smaller scale versus investing in like in a velvet couch. I think velvet accents would be good, even like a throw, maybe a blanket.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree with that, and I think that's gone back to kind of how I've always purchased my inventory. Is that I try to stay very neutral with the large, expensive pieces, and then get a little bit more. I invest a little bit more, toss pillows, throw blankets, wall art, that kind of thing. The things that you can cycle in and out easily, and you're not really as crushed, for lack of a better word, than if something happens to it, Not that.
All right, so
couches, God knows.
So we talked about the color of the year. So Edie touched on this, ultraviolet. The blue-based purple evokes both modern and vintage. So this soft hue can be dressed up with modern art and accent fixtures, or simply provide a stunning backdrop in an understated space. So again, any kind of color, purple is one of those things. If you do, people who talk about color, usually females like purple. A lot of guys hate purple. So you also have to consider who's your buyer demographic and not make it too specific for one gender or the other, vice versa for male, female. But they said use that, but I wouldn't be running out and investing in a ton of it because it's not something that appeals to both male and female.
Well,
all right. Have you heard the term wabi sabi? So wabi, I didn't hear this term either.
I've heard of that. No.
Wabi sabi, WABI, So it says, yeah, me neither. Not to be confused with the Japanese horseradish.
That's exactly what
wabi sabi is a Japanese. Wabi sabi is a Japanese aesthetic that finds beauty in imperfections. This means handcrafted items, including pottery, are going to be all the rage. So put them on display and embrace the notion that not everything needs to be flawless to be beautiful. So I kind of like that idea. So you can have the perfect imperfection.
Well, I actually,
isn't there a song?
Kind of what we're seeing with the farmhouse modern and the shiplap and, like you said, the different colored flooring. But I think again that would be something that I would invest in accent pieces. I don't know that I would actually attach it to the house. Right. So I do agree with that, and I've actually seen it. I just never really knew it was a thing. So, and we do that too. But does this mean that all my old chipped pottery can come back into circulation?
Probably not.
A girl can,
so they're saying,
a girl can dream.
Yeah, exactly. Pull that out. So they're saying jewel tones, seeing beige and gray are taking a year off as jewel tones arrive on the home decor scene with a welcome flourish. These shades will help warm up your winter by making your rooms more vibrant. So they're showing like furniture in these jewel tones. So again, I think that goes back to it's okay maybe for living, and we can have some fun with color, like some colorful accent chairs, but be really careful about incorporating too much because then it starts to look too busy, like a splatter paint or something.
Well, I agree with that, and again, it just goes back to I think the whole philosophy, at least my philosophy on staging, is that we bring in those trendy colors in the accent pieces. I'm not going to go and lop up 6 walls with color of the year. It's just not going to happen. But I would bring in the artwork and the accent pieces and, pops of color, and then when we're working with occupied homes, we're dealing with other people's things. I know not everybody stages occupied homes. We do. So the colors of the year gone by stay in my inventory for those reasons. We don't use them as much, but certainly we have to take a home that somebody's been living in from 16 to 20 years and quite possibly the furnishings that they have in there and bring them to 2018, and that's how we do it. Again, that to me is the essence of what we do, and that's how the whole staging industry started with Barb so long ago, was using stuff that people had. So I think, at least my business philosophy for the staging is that you take what is handed to you and you make it pretty. And, right. If every staging that I did meant that I could tear everything out and bring everything in brand new, well, then that's easy to me. The maintenance to me are 10 times easier than the occupieds. It's taking the occupied and addressing the elephants that you have to and showing a buyer what they can do with the place without breaking the seller's bank. So the colors, every single color that has been mentioned, yellow, turquoise, purple, I've been through every trend now at this point. It's been almost 13 years. So I do have every color, and I do have every kind of motif of style, so to speak, shy of anything really wretched. But I think that's how we bridge, and the way that I explain it to clients is that we want to take what you have and bridge it to today so that buyers can visualize your house. And when you kind of explain it as a bridge, we're bringing things together at the best possible budget. But that's to me, that's what we do. And that's what. Yeah, we do owner occupieds as well, and they are, those you watching, they are definitely more challenging than a vacant, because a vacant you get to pick the look, you're picking the inventory, you get to set it up.
an owner occupied, you're working with what they have and you're dealing with things like resistance, or I'm still living here, I need my dresser or my big ugly bed or whatever it is. And so to convince them to swap some things out, furthermore, when people are living in the house, sometimes you don't want your stuff used. That's your staging inventory, your furniture. So there's that aspect too. So I don't want to call it like lipstick on a pig, but sometimes I feel like sometimes houses are just, we're doing our best to kind of distract from some of the other issues. And, I guess at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding of whether the house sells and the sellers are happy. And, but it is, I think owner occupieds are a lot harder. So,
well, with an owner occupied, you're kind of dancing around the topic that your baby is ugly. And how do you say that? So yeah, we got to kind of do that little dance with them and going, oh, yeah. Tell me about that piece. Because you got to kind of feel them out, and it's a kind of a dance. You got to go back and forth and evoke how they feel about certain things, because ultimately it's a hugely emotional experience. So when you're telling people that that couch that grandma gave you probably isn't going to be the most attractive. So anyway.
Right. So here's the trends that are out according to them. Word wall art. Word wall art. So words on the wall.
Wall art. So word wall art, I agree. I think what I saw happening here as I literally walked into a house that was staged by not me, and every piece of wall art in the house was word wall art. So I think it just got overdone. I think that when it's tastefully done and there are kind of pops of it, maybe like one or two different things, yes. But at least in my area, they're still selling them in the store. People are still buying them. We have the whole painting party things where everybody's painting them on the pallets for their houses. So that's still a trend here.
Yeah, we see it too. Like, I think some of the sayings like always kiss me goodnight. So we'll use some of those that are on wood, little things like it's always better, it's wine o'clock somewhere. You can do, some of them are like, they're like add a little bit of whimsy, but a lot of the rooms, if you go in and everyone has the sayings on the walls, and so that kind of thing, they're saying this according to this article, those are out. The next one is still very popular where we are. He's saying barn doors are out. And I'm like, barn doors are, I think it's a great way
to
enclose.
Something right now, Jenny Norris, and everybody else who's watching this. I will not be the person to break that to the people of the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States of America who are now putting these in their homes. So no, they're very still in here. I don't know. And you said, what was the name of it? I don't even want to know the name of the article, because I feel like that is totally incorrect.
Yeah, and those are the only two things he said was out. So barn doors and words. So I would actually add, is there another page to this? So that's all that printed out. So I would add, for me, like in our area, it was just in staging in general. So we talked a little bit about silk plants. So the ones with the ivy and the grapes and stuff like that, hopefully nobody's using those anymore. The silk plants that, we are incorporating, it's nice to bring the outside inside. So if you don't like the word silk, or you have a client that's hung up on that word, tell them it's a permanent botanical. Permanent botanical. And then
did you make that up?
You
just made that up now, didn't you?
No, I've been saying that in the classes, but I use that phrase because of the grasses, the succulents, those types of things.
We have switched to a lot of the grasses and the succulents, and I have to admit, I kind of my colleagues kind of pulled me into that one, kicking and screaming, and I was like, that's so Southwestern, but no, it's all over the place here now, and we have 6,000 of them in our inventory. Not literally, but we have a lot of them in our inventory, and I'm going to give a little shout out to my girl Rose, because she loves them. I use them. I still am not in love with them, but but florals, we're still using florals, but it's mostly orchids. I think that you go into the stores and everybody's got the orchids, roses, nothing much beyond that. I do have some, I like the pop of color with the florals. So, and they are permanent. But
Yeah, so yeah, so we use orchids for sure. And I even had a client one time, we don't want any orchids. I'm like, what's wrong with orchids? I mean, they're everywhere. So I like them. You put them in a bathroom, on a dining table. Also, bigger botanicals. We have some silks, permanent botanicals, silk flowers that we got that are the big buds, the big ones. So it could be hydrangeas, there could be big stems. Sandra Holmes, I had asked her to be on the show, but I know she has an appointment, so she wasn't able to join us. But if you look at her staging, often on her dining room table, she'll have a centerpiece, like a container vase, and it has a big spray of flowers coming out, and then they'll be like all white or silver, and they're the stems might have a lot of littler like petals on it or something. So, but it's very dramatic. So I think the floral arrangements back in the day, like the wreaths and the things that were like kind of grandma-ish, those definitely are out.
mm-hmm.
But you can still use outside, inside. I think that's important.
But I think that what I've seen too, what I see a whole lot of now is, the containers are clear glass with a little bit of the acrylic water in them, and it's maybe one or two stems, and that's it. And it's not a big grouping, a huge, massive, overly done, floral arrangement, so to speak. It's like you said, they want it to look natural, not done up.
Right. What about trees? So when I first got staging 16 years ago, we invested a lot of ficus trees.
Mm-hmm.
We had the palm trees you could assemble and put in. They were like 8 feet spread.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, I was in California, so the palm trees made sense. And I know somewhere about a year or so ago, we just kind of stopped using trees. I mean, I like them to fill a corner,
Mm-hmm.
but we used to be like every room had a tree in the corner. So it's pretty rare now that we add a tree. What are you doing there on the East Coast?
I never put a tree in every room. Say what you may about the ficus, but I still use my ficus. I just make sure that they are clean and full. And I do have the fiddle figs, and I know those are starting to trend out as well. I don't quite know if anything else is coming back in. I use them, and I like them, and I feel like they're enhancing. Again, more so if I have a big empty corner that needs something, but is not big enough for, say, a piece of furniture. And I guess more as an anchor. I do like the trees, though. I still find that they work. If they weren't working, then I wouldn't use them.
Yeah, so here we have faux aspen trees. So they'll be like the white trunks, almost look like a birch, but the aspen trees with the leaves.
Gold leaves, or are they the gold aspen leaves, or are they the green?
There actually are some that has yellow leaves, but they have green or yellow. They can have some that are kind of the seasonal, like the fall look.
Uh-huh.
So, depending on your market, like if you live again in the, Southern California, Florida, Texas, even the palm trees, we used to use areca palms all the time. Those are nice. She talked about making sure that your silks are clean. So whatever you have, there's a great product. It's called Leaf Shine.
Uh-huh.
Leaf Shine.
Uh-huh.
There's Silks Alive and Leaf Shine. You can buy them at Michael's. One of them is this gross, milky liquid stuff. You spray it on the plant and it drips everywhere. So don't buy that one. The one you're looking for is the aerosol, and I'm pretty sure it's called Leaf Shine. And you just spray it on your silks, and I don't know what it does. I don't know if it eats it or dissolves it, but it cleans it without you having to go in and wipe it or shake your tree outside or have to hose it outside. So just make sure your stuff isn't dusty, because the silks can accumulate that.
That is
so.
And it looks terrible, and especially with the clear containers with acrylic water, the acrylic water collects dust. You have to put them in the sink, and you have to get some type of I usually use a bottle cleaner and reach down in there and keep that clean. And eventually, if your containers don't get broken and they make it that far, the acrylic water will eventually yellow. I have just one.
Now, kitchen decor, just kind of, share about like what you do, because we used to do a lot of like roosters and chickens and things that had color, and a lot of like the metal. So I had a couple of roosters that were like, they're pretty sizable, and they don't go out at the show very much. So we've kind of gravitated more towards like, stacked dishes, trays. I do have like a couple of little pigs I got that are white. I have a set of, roosters, but they're fat, but they're ceramic and they're white. So that kind of kitchen stuff. What do you guys think?
We're seeing that again. I mean, that was back, 12, 13 years ago when I started. The roosters were the thing, and they're starting to come back more or less because of the modern farmhouse era that we're kind of in here. They're good because at least here I have believe it or not, we have Charlie in our collection, and he's a giant chartreuse pig. And we love him. He's in one of our kitchens that we did. So animals are still kind of trendy. In the wall art, we did go from the rule of anything with eyes, but now with the animals being so trendy, I know that the baby animal art in nurseries is very trendy. Animals, like you said, roosters, pigs in the kitchen are trendy. But yeah, we're seeing that here too. But not a whole lot of color. You're right though, with the white.
So we have a lot of horses here too. So we have, horse art was very popular. So we've invested in a lot of pieces because it's really appropriate for our market. We do stage horse properties. We'll go into the foothills, the mountains. And so it's appropriate to have some of that, the kind of the rural sort of the farm, like the farm type thing. And then we've invested in ceramic horse heads. And it's sort of funny because, I like them. We have little ones, almost like a chess piece, that kind of a local horse head. But we actually staged with one. The horse head was probably like maybe this big. It was white. And the agent that was the thing, they thought, oh, that looks like The Godfather. They actually, they took it off. They took it off because they said it reminded them. I've never seen that movie. I know it was like the horse in the head in the bed. So I'm like, it's not The Godfather. It's just something that's in, and it just add a little bit of whimsy. And I do like having a little bit of whimsy with staging,
I agree.
as far as what's trending.
No, I think
Kelly
is have that one thing that makes the house memorable. And I think that 85% of people have their decision made before they even leave the house. But if they don't have their decision made, a little something in the staging that makes the house memorable, or definitely highlights the feature that makes the house memorable, is kind of what keeps the homes that we stage in the front of people's minds.
Yeah, and Kathy said cows too. So I actually invested in. I have two prints, wrap canvas of those really colorful cow faces.
Yep.
So I've got a little one and a bigger one. Those are fun, and I think I've got one that's a rooster too. Because they might go into a kitchen or have fun, and I love setting.
You mentioned the
what's that?
tones. You mentioned the jewel tones, and the thing that came to my mind when you mentioned the jewel tones is, I don't know about any place else in the country, but peacocks are really popular too. So the peacock color, all the jewel colors in them. So the peacock blues and the peacock purples and kind of fuchsias in the artwork, not necessarily in the walls.
Yeah, so you mentioned, peacocks were really, they were everywhere here like a couple of years ago, and I didn't like artwork, things on pillows, that you'd buy actually accessories that were actually a peacock. And so I love the colors of the peacock, all the jewel tones, but it was funny how they then turned it actually into a peacock. And I don't know if people invest in a lot of the peacock artwork and stuff like that. I mean, I didn't, and I don't see it here. So maybe it continued on to the east. I
don't have a lot of it. I think I have one, and I've had them for a couple of years. So I think the thing I like about those particular accent pieces is they're so versatile because there's so many colors in them. And it allows me to, you can use them anywhere. You can use them in a bedroom, you can use them in a bathroom, in a family room. But I think typically now, as opposed to years, a few years ago, like you mentioned, I don't really use them in the main living spaces because we are kind of still seeing that muted blues greens kind of thing going on. I'll use them in maybe a tween girl's bedroom or a bathroom more so than any place else.
And then Yolanda's asking about coffee things for kitchens. So we'll put 2 coffee mugs and a packet of coffee on a counter. Sometimes we'll do wine glasses. So I don't think that's dated. Again, it's a little bit of whimsy. If you like, sometimes we'll set up a seating area and a master, and then so maybe we'll have like you can sit here and read your magazine and have a cup of coffee, your morning coffee or whatever. So you want to create a lifestyle impression. So it's not just about things for the sake of having something on a counter or a surface. It's also maybe what kind of message are you sending? So it could be a little bit of whimsy or creating that illusion of a lifestyle. Like why do we dress up the tubs like a spa? I mean, okay, be honest. We have a tub, and have I ever been in that tub even one time since we lived here? No. But if I stage a house, I'm putting the towels in the spa, like you're gonna relax here every day and have your glass of wine and be in your tub relaxing. And I don't know how many people actually are able to do that every day, but I ain't one of them. But I create the illusion.
I agree with you on that. However, it's one of those things. And I think too, though, I think that whereas, 10 years ago, having trays on the bed was the thing to do, I think people have become a little bit more savvy to that, and it's kind of looking contrived. And you don't want to go into that line either. So you don't want to, as we mentioned before, one thing that keeps that might trigger something, but you don't want something in every single room. Like you go
right.
the living room and the fireplace, there's a chair, an armchair with a book and glasses sitting on top of it. Then you go up to the spa, the bathroom, and there's wine glasses with like we're entertaining in every room at the same time. I mean, I think that again it crosses the line into just a little bit too much and too contrived.
Yeah, so I think you're right. So I think keep it limited to maybe one or two spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And Yolanda's saying coffee signs. So there were the wood signs that said coffee or tea or wine. I have a couple of those still, but I'm not using them as much. I actually have a big metal sign that says bar. And I like that. I mean, on a custom home with a big bar, I mean, it's a bar.
Right.
So those kinds of things, it's again, that's subjective.
Right.
But I think a lot of the, if you have them everywhere, like we had one sign, I don't know where this thing is. I don't know if it's in a house or not, but it was, let's see, don't get mad, stay up late and plot your revenge.
My favorite.
Don't get mad instead of get even. It was stay up late and plot your revenge. So we'd have that in the bedroom. It was just one of those kind of the evil, funny, but kind of a dark humor. So something like that, hopefully makes people laugh. So the little whatever.
That, one of the things I learned from one of my mentors in the past was that people attach memory to emotion, and they're more likely to remember something that is highly emotional. So whether that emotion is sadness or happiness, if they come into your house and they read something that makes them laugh, they had a happy emotion in that house, and that naturally is what happens. They're going to attach the memory to good, and that's a good thing. I was saying one of the houses we just staged last week, I found a sign that just cracked me up, so I got it and put it in this office, and it says, I do yoga to relax. Just kidding, I drink wine in my yoga pants. So I thought that was great, and I put it in that office, and I think that that's something that's really funny. So
Karen,
I will neither admit nor deny whether that is accurate.
Well, it's funny because Karen Mendenhall, so she's from Charlotte, and her warehouse, she has all these really funny signs everywhere. One of them is, yes, doing your job is part of your job. And then, I mean, funny things like, I laughed so much, a little bit of water fell down my leg. It was just these funny little sayings. And then at Blair's store in Plymouth that we taught the master's course in, he had a bunch of little signs and stuff too. So it's okay to have funny, you can use humor. So, we want it to look nice and be sophisticated, but it can also have a little bit of whimsy. And
right.
Lastly, the one of the trends that was in some areas was the white on white, all white interior, all white property. And so I did have seen that done in some markets. What do you think about that?
I have not seen that here. I do see people who are trying to prepare their homes for sale without any guidance, painting everything white. It's still very sterile. I think that, as Edi mentioned, I think there is a market for it in the more contemporary / modern spaces, which I would relate to, like, for me, Philadelphia. I don't see that happening in Wilmington yet. I see color packages, so to speak, still being used with, like gray or grayish walls with the stark white trim and ceilings, and then accents of black. But again, and that's through investors / flippers, however you choose to address them, where they have that option of making their whole home one, color package, so to speak. as far as the rest of us go, the other 80%, we still have to carefully and wisely guide our clients on the best bang for the buck on what they're going to do for their upgrades, and make it so that it goes as far as possible. I still sit in the seat of advising a client who's on a very tight budget to forego staging if it means that that budget needs to go into something that stays with the house, such as paint, light fixtures, whatever.
Yeah, and even like furnishings, there are people who bring like the white sofas, the white, everything was white, 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 all the accessories were white. And on one hand, it looked very, it's
Clean.
just, you can say sophisticated, very clean, but on the same token, you said you use the word sterile. So I also kind of think it could have, you could have either reaction. And when we were in Europe, Massimo Caiazzo, I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong, he shared on color. He's a color expert, and he talked about the all white palette, and he said throw color in there. He said that's boring. So again, that's something that's subjective, and it's interesting that I have seen it in some markets. It's not happening here. We use base neutral.
I'm sorry, Jenny. Well, again, when you take a look at the room from the eye of the camera lens, which is everybody's first showing of that house, then when you have all one color, there's no depth. There's nothing stands out, and you want stuff to stand out. So if you want to do all white, I would not do white walls. I mean,
right.
But if you have white walls, then you need to have accent colors in there. And again, with the white walls, white's a cool color, so you're limited to what you can't be. Technically, I guess you could bring in browns, but it's not going to look right. You have to bring in your cool colors with your whites. But again, it's great if all the white looks super cool when you're standing in the room looking at it, but in order for a house to sell, you have to get the person in that room, and in order to get them in the room, the pictures have to look
right,
and they have to be able to see some difference between the couch versus the pillow versus what's behind it, and you lose all that by going with all one color, regardless of what the color is.
Right, and you're wanting to connect with the buyer emotionally. So colors, as if you take a color course or you understand color, there are emotions that are associated with certain colors. Like red is very energetic and vibrant, blue can be more calming, and so you might strategically use different colors in staging in order to draw a buyer in emotionally.
Right.
And as Edie even said, she doesn't use a lot of yellow. Kevin does. I use like yellows with grays. I like that combination a lot with cream or white. So it's interesting. So all right, well, believe it or not, our time is up.
What?
Like fast. I know.
Feels like we should
So
spin it.
I know. So our next week, I'm going to be in Long Island teaching a class, and so Kevin Tane will be your guest host, and his planned topic is the expansion of business. So we're going to have people on that have expanded their business to other maybe parts of their existing market, if it's a large market, or other states even, and how they managed to do that as their business, expanded and grew. Are they franchised? Do they have to go hire different employees? That whole logistics behind that. So that's the planned topic for next week. So if you can all join us again next Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Jenny. And I challenge all of you to use the word wabi-sabi today.
Yeah. And see the reaction you get. What? All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, everybody.
Well, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.